The Amazing Spider-Man, The Sins of Norman Osborn issue 1 finds Madam Web telling the Spider family that they need to stop Spider-Man, and they can only do it together. Spider-Girl wonders why it's up to them, so Web tells him that it's all connected by the web of life and destiny, and while spiders are usually solitary creatures, something happened that brought them all together, like when the Ravencrofts or the Inheritors came for them, and now today, Spider-Man's life is in danger. Gwen isn't so sure, having seen the vision of Spider-Man and her battling Green Goblin on a bridge, where Spider-Man is knocked from the bridge, killing him. Gwen knows that it was all just a dream, but Silk also had one, seeing Spider-Man dead at Empire State, while Miles saw him dead in Queens and Jessica saw him dead at Avengers Mansion. Julia explains that this is the web crying out, and what the heroes experienced weren't dreams, but visions all sharing a common thread, that Spider-Man will die and Norman Osborn is the one responsible. Gwen isn't so shocked by that since they all have suffered at Osborn's hand, but Madam Web knows Norman's luck has run out thanks to Sin Eater, since if the villain eliminates Osborn, then he's no longer a threat to the Spider family or anyone else. Miles knows that that's all well and good, but there is still one person who isn't down with that plan. Spider-Man meanwhile battles his way through Ravencroft, grabbing Norman and telling him that if it wasn't for him, Norman would have been torn to shreds, and he's not making it easy for the hero to rescue him when he's trying to run every time Peter has to fight a Sin Eater thug. Norman is outraged since this is Ravencroft and it's under his control and he will not be chased from his own home. He beats a thug himself, slamming into the wall with him and telling Peter he will not be carried out by the hero since he's not really good at saving people when it really happens. Peter becomes angered, grabbing Norman and telling the man that thanks to him he's been trapped in a spiral of death and pain, and it's now taking every fiber in his body not to throw him at the cult. He knows this isn't about Osborn's pride, aware the man is hiding something from him like he always does, something that resides in Ravencroft that Norman wants to get to. Silk meanwhile wants to know why Peter is doing this, since if Sin Eater can cure Norman, why not let him? The others know that they tried to convince Peter Osborn will kill again, but Gwen knows that it's not that simple, since Peter hates Norman more than any of them, and if he really thought Sin Eater was the way to stop him, Peter would probably do it, but knows Peter is aware that you can't make a deal with the devil and not expect a price. And who's to say that whoever is behind Sin Eater isn't worse than Norman? In Ravencroft, Sin Eater blows away a group of guards with Whirlwind's power, reassuring them that he will cleanse their house of sin. The cops open fire on him, impressing the villain that the man with actual bravery exists. He knows the world's sickness can blind even the most well-meaning like the guards, wanting to show them the way. Hours before, Sin Eater prays to Kindred, asking why the villain has forsaken him now in his time of need, wondering if the being is displeased with his actions. Soon someone approaches the villain, who learns that it was the man who demanded he be cleansed the day before. The man says that he has a history with Spider-Man and needed to escape the day before very quickly, but now he has come back and wants to be cleansed. Sin Eater tells him to remove his hood, so the man does, causing the villain to laugh, telling the man that his god hears him and he has answered him. Sin Eater shoots the man, who is revealed to be Martin Lee, saying that the sins of Mr. Negative are no more and a reckoning is on its way. In the present, Sin Eater uses Mr. Negative's power on the guard, turning him and making him see the truth, getting the man to kill his partners and become a Sin Eater cult member. Spider-Man meanwhile is led into the basement by Norman, who reveals his old cell, telling Spider-Man that he would come here to reflect on the past and plan for the future. The walls behind the cell open, revealing Norman's secret lab, something Peter always knew he had. Norman knows that this time the hero will be thanking him as Peter looks over the schematics on the table, finding they belong to Empire State. Norman knows that he doesn't need to concern himself with that now, activating his computer systems since their focus should be on Ravencroft and the inmates since they can turn the tide. Spider-Man wonders who the inmate is, learning he's a recent arrival and has proven resistant to even their most intensive attempts at rehabilitation. Norman becomes angered, learning that the inmate is gone from the vault cell, knowing that it's impossible since the only ones who had access are himself and Dr. Kafka, who was recently converted into a Sin Eater acolyte by Sin Eater. Spider-Man is shocked to learn that the woman is still alive as the controlled Ashley opens the vault, releasing the Juggernaut, who says he's going to rip them all to shreds. The villain rushes Dr. Kafka, but Sin Eater fires his gun. Gwen meanwhile doesn't know if she can do this, and Madam Web understands why, since this isn't an easy choice to make, but the web will guide them all. Spider-Girl wonders why Madam Web didn't just tell Peter everything, and Julia says that it doesn't work that way since Spider-Man's threads led him to the moment of decision, so he needs to be allowed to bring that thread to a conclusion himself. And now the web turns returns to them and their choice, so it's up to them to stop Peter. Madam Web says that the Order of the Web is now formed as the heroes race to Ravencroft. On the way, Miles asks Madam Web about their dreams, wondering what she saw, but Julia will only say she saw something worse than death. Spider-Man meanwhile throws Norman around the lab, calling him a monster for what he has done. Norman says that he did what was necessary to stop what's coming, wondering if Spider-Man has seen Kindred. Peter wants to know what the villain knows about the being, but Norman only knows Sin Eater is just the beginning, and he won't stop until both of them are dead, willing to sacrifice the entire city to do it. Norman reminds Spider-Man that, like it or not, they are in this together to the bitter end. The Amazing Spider-Man, The Sins of Norman Osborn issue 1 was a special that really didn't need to exist at all. Everything that was in this issue was basically just a recap of the Sins Rising storyline up until now, and what Sin Eater's whole deal is with cleansing these villains, as well as how much of an evil person Norman Osborn is, which, even if you are a new Spider-Man fan or new to reading the Spider-Man comics, you already know Norman Osborn and Green Goblin are pretty evil. Again, this could have just been told over the course of 2 issues and didn't need to be a special, but the really interesting thing here was the inclusion of Juggernaut. We got hints at who's in the cell at the bottom of Ravencroft, and we finally learned that it's Juggernaut, and I like the idea that Sin Eater has cleansed him, and in doing so has gained Juggernaut's power, which throws an interesting curveball at Peter. But other than that, this was just another retread of things we already knew and already expected of these characters. I'm going to give this issue a 4 out of 10.